Okay, Brush from Big Airbrush. Today we're going to go over the Pache VL3 and the Iwata Eclipse on how to break them down and tune them up. This is the needle chuck, holds the needle tight in here, and first thing we're going to do is loosen that needle chuck, pull the needle out. We've loosened the pressure on the head. There's air cap head which holds the cone, and I'm going to clean this little cone out. If you want to use the needle, you can. You have to be very careful, kind of push any paint out. It's best to use like a wooden toothpick or anything made of wood, because this metal is really soft, and if you just jam something in it, you can put little grooves on the inside, and instead of cleaning it, you're actually going to make little grooves for the paint to stick in, and you're going to distort the tip. You need to inspect this. There's sometimes you can get little cracks in it, and usually if you got a crack in it, it's from jamming this needle in too hard. When you put it in, you want to put it in just enough to seat it where there's a little pressure on it. You don't want to jam it all the way in there, because that'll crack the tip or flare the tip out where it has a little bugle shape on the end. So you want to totally avoid that. This airbrush looks pretty clean. Sometimes I'll put some beeswax on these threads. There's these 3 holes in the head. On the Pache, when you push down, there's actually 3 different levels of air. You can push down just a little bit and get 1 stage of air, push down a little bit more, get a 2nd stage, and then all the way down for full air. And usually when you have it down all the way, you're going to have it back all the way. When you have it down just 1st stage, you're going to have it just back a little bit and being close for doing fine work, because for fine little stream of paint, you don't need a whole lot of air. So, stick this back together. Put the cone in, the head cap on. It's good if you have the right tool, but I don't, so I'm just going to firmly give that. The threads are brass, so you don't really have to crank them hard. If you put a little bit of wax on the air cap threads, that helps a lot. Some of the guns we have custom air caps on where we grind these down so that you can pick the paint off the tip easier. When you push this needle back in, you just want to push it until you see it come out just a little, and just give it a little twist clockwise, and then tighten the needle chuck. The Eclipse from Iwata is real similar. Needle chuck, needle stuck, the needle stuck. Put a pair of pliers on the end and try to give it a little twist and pull it out, but that's from letting paint dry. You can see where it dried on the tip and around the fluid packing. The fluid packing in these guns are different. The fluid packing in this gun that the needle sits in, and that's what gives you the draw out of the bottle, is permanent seal in there. Whereas the Pache, if you take this assembly out, you can actually adjust the fluid packing. It's a little nylon ring with a brass packing behind it. And you take a little screwdriver, a little flathead, and you can back it all the way out and actually replace it, or put a little lube on that and put it back in. And you want it just tight enough where the needle just barely slides in and out. You don't want it so tight that the needle can't go in and out of it. On the Iwatas, the tips are much more expensive. I don't know what they're made out of, but some secret alloy from outer space probably. But I can feel there's some junk in there. It's best to do this with a wooden toothpick instead of a needle, and if this was soaked in lacquer thinner, it would push it out a little easier. Sometimes you just have to actually break down and put a new tip on, which I think for the Iwatas is around $9. Expensive part, but and an old trick that the old airbrush guys use. Believe it or not, a dollar bill is a lot like sandpaper. The ink that's on it and the paper that it's made from is great for buffing a needle with. Polishes the needle really well. Deface the American dollar. This is probably worth about 50 cents, 45 cents. When you include the deficit, this is worth minus $5. Thanks, Obama. A little political satire. And if you look in there, it's got a little crud built up. It's from poor maintenance. Or just letting paint sit in your gun without washing it out. One trick is to actually take the blunt end of the needle, but if you're not really careful, that can tear that fluid packing, so you gotta not be real physical with it, but that'll usually push any paint that's in there out of it. And see, this only has 2 air holes and they're catty-cornered instead of across the top, and I'm pretty sure, but you only get 1 airflow from this finger lever. There's only 1 hole in this stem, so you get the same amount of air all the time when you push down on this finger lever. And you can put just a little bit of lube on the back of this finger lever right here, and a couple places, you know, where the back of this, where this needle chuck slides in that, you put a drop of lube there and a drop of lube there. And a lot of people use Garcia fishing reel lube. My original cutaway handle that these companies have copied and reproduced. So you can grab the needle chuck and clear it out. I did that first in 1971. Never got paid a penny. there's all kinds of different techniques and styles, but everybody develops their own. But pretty much everybody down there uses the same one, you know. So, and then you can drop shadow it, you know, come back in there, back away from it, and kind of give it a drop shadow look. But definitely what you want to do is work on